And for finding prospects, you have a couple different options. One is you can purchase lists. There are many different companies that you can subscribe to and download a list, or you can use a list broker. And then I'm going to compare another option with that, which is using LinkedIn to find contacts. And there's pros and cons with both of these options. One of the concerns I have every time I've purchased lists of prospects or lists of contacts is that the data has always been questionable. And this makes sense because what happens is that contacts that work for a business end up into some sort of database and onto some sort of list. Now, in today's environment, people change jobs a lot. So it's very likely that between the time that that contact ended up in that database and on that list, and then that list ending up in your hands and being ready to use for your cold email campaign, it's very likely that a lot of those prospects are no longer in that role. And with that, right out of the gate, you're setting yourself up for a cold email campaign that might not be successful because a lot of the data you're using is outdated information. Now, one of the great things about LinkedIn is I personally think LinkedIn is one of the best places to go to find prospects and to find prospect data. And the reason why I think that LinkedIn has the most up-to-date information is because it's the actual contact that is responsible for keeping that information up to date. And most contacts are fairly motivated to keep their information up to date in terms of where they're working, what their current role is. And this is for a couple reasons. Most people that work for a company, when they get a new job, they will often want to update their network about that because it might be a change that they're very proud of. Maybe they got promoted. Maybe they're working for a new company that they're excited about, and they want to share that with everybody. And the first place they go to do that is updating their LinkedIn profile. Now, of course, that's not everybody, because on the other end of the spectrum is you have people that are stuck in the same job and might be very unhappy with where they're at or might not be proud of the job that they have. And these people often want to be found by other companies that are hiring or recruiters. And these people will be motivated just as much to keep their LinkedIn profile up to date in terms of their role and their title and where they're currently working. So with that, the data that we can gather from LinkedIn is going to be much more valuable, accurate, and position us for better success than purchasing lists of contacts and lists of prospects. Although one good thing about purchasing a list is that you can get a complete list in less time by purchasing thousands of contacts all at once, which can save you time. Unfortunately, on LinkedIn, the process that I'm going to show you is going to involve searching on LinkedIn and looking at prospects and contacts one at a time. So while the data is much more accurate and reliable, the process I show you will be a little slower. Sometimes when you purchase lists, you can get lists that have the email address for all of the different contacts. Now, using LinkedIn, typically, in order to get the contact's email address, we have to send an invitation to connect. And this is a downside with trying to use LinkedIn for prospecting and cold emailing. Although I'm going to show you a workaround here using our email guesser tool, which will allow you to get the contact's email address without having to invite them to become connections through LinkedIn. One downside to purchasing lists is that it can be expensive. It may involve an expensive subscription, or there may be some sort of fee with the list that you purchase from a list broker. And with LinkedIn, the process I'm going to show you is what I would call close to free. For the most part, it's free, but most likely to use the process that I show you, you would want some sort of premium LinkedIn account. So there is that fee associated with what I'm going to show you here today. And so the first thing that we're going to want to do is when we're in LinkedIn, we want to pull up a list of target prospects. And the first place that I go to do that is I go to the search field and I enter a broad keyword that brings up a general list of people for the target prospect type that I'm trying to reach out to. So I just usually put sales for my particular situation. And now we have a bunch of results, and we want to refine all of these different results down to just people. So we click people. And so what I have now is a list of a lot of people with just the keyword of sales. And now we want to refine this down in a few other ways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on all filters, and I'm going to refine this down by location first. So I'm going to do a search just for San Francisco Bay Area. I recommend you run smaller searches and complete those searches instead of running one mass search for, say, the entire United States, where the search results is hundreds of pages. And what will happen is you start on page 1 and you might forget where you leave off. By searching a particular geographic area like a state or a city, that will allow you to finish and work through the search results for that entire city, and then you can mark that as complete and you can come back and focus on the next city instead of trying to figure out where you left off in your huge search result. The other filter that I'm going to add is by title. Now, if you recall in the other videos, we have created our email campaign and our sales message around sales trainers. So of course, when we're on LinkedIn here, we're looking for sales trainers. So I'm just going to search for sales trainers and I'm going to click show results. There may be other filters that you want to use and you can work through those, but I just basically use title and geographic area. I then get a number of search results with people that have that title in that geographic area. And so you can see here, my search results are 39 pages. So this is a very manageable set of search results that I can work through when I'm focusing on looking at these prospects, and then I can complete that and then perform a new search maybe tomorrow or on another day. So just looking at these real quick, I'm just going to click on the second one here. And so here is a target prospect that I could potentially add to my email campaign. Now, when salespeople are typically using LinkedIn, at this moment, they need to get the email address. And in order to do that, what the majority of salespeople do is they invite this contact to connect. I actually think inviting to connect slows down your prospecting, and then your messages are also going to the LinkedIn inbox, which I think is not optimum. So with our process that I'm showing you here today, we're going to skip all that. We're not going to try to connect with any of these people. What we're going to do is we're going to use the SalesScripter email guesser tool to get the email address for this person without connecting. And the way that works is that the email guesser basically gives us 3 fields to fill in. We need to insert the first name, insert the last name, and put the company website address. And what the tool will do is it will run a test ping on the most common different combinations of these values and tell us what the email for this contact is. And the great thing is that this will give us their business email, the email for their business inbox, not their personal email, because a lot of times when you connect on LinkedIn, you're going to get the prospect's personal email inbox. And the great thing here is that LinkedIn provides these 3 pieces of information. We can get these 3 pieces of information in a matter of seconds. So let me just show you. I'm going to copy this real quick, insert first name, take the last name. Now I need to get the company website address. There's probably a couple different ways to get that. I think the best way to get that is just to click on the company profile here, which is where he currently works. Sometimes it'll have a button for website. I'm just going to click on the About tab. Here's their website. So I'm just going to copy the website, go back to the email guesser, click guess email, and here are the search results. So we ran these different combinations and it shows us here in green what the contact's email address is, and then I can just easily click create contact here to create a contact in the CRM for this contact. So let me just copy some information real quick. And the great thing here is that the tool automatically fills in the information that we've already entered. So the email address that was verified is entered, the first name, last name, and the company website address. As long as we're here and creating a contact, we do want to add as much information as we can that we've already located in LinkedIn. So now I'm going to go back to LinkedIn. One thing we want to grab is the company phone number, because the thing we're going to talk about in the next video of the workshop is calling these contacts, and we need a phone number in order to call them. So I'm just going to click this link right here to get the phone number, and I'm going to paste that into SalesScripter for the contact's phone number. It is the main phone number, which is not great. but typically you can't get direct dials through this process. So we will start with the main company number when we're doing our follow-up calls. And let's go back to LinkedIn and see if there's any additional information that we can get. We can get some more information from the contact's LinkedIn profile page. So one thing we want to get is we actually want to grab this URL. Maybe we might want to come back to his profile during our prospecting. What else can we get? Well, here's his title. We definitely want that. And I'm gonna leave it there. Maybe there's some additional information you might want, or you might want to add more details in the description, but I'm just gonna click save and create a contact. And so here is the detailed contact record in our CRM. So we have a record here now in our CRM for this contact. The only thing left to do now is we want to add the contact to the email campaign, but I have a list for sales trainers. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add the contact to the list, and I've created a little automation so that anytime I add a contact to this list, they automatically get added to the email campaign. And so that's pretty much it. I'm done with that one contact. I found him on LinkedIn. I used the email guesser to get his business email address. I've added him to the Sales Scripter CRM. Then I've added him to the email campaign, and I'm pretty much done and ready to move on to the next contact. And what I can do is I can just very easily click back. I'm back to the search results where I left off, and now I can click on the next contact and go through that exact same process again. So that is our process for using LinkedIn to find contacts and then adding those contacts to our cold email campaign. Now, I do want to point out, as you can see, this is a little bit slower than buying a list of 1,000 prospects, but this data and this process is a much higher quality cold email prospecting process, and that will position you for much more success with your cold email campaign. And when you combine that with the sales message that we created that's very targeted to all these people that we're looking at right here, we're increasing the odds of communicating in a way that it triggers interest, that we're communicating in a language that they understand, and improving the odds of success for our cold email campaign. Now, one thing I want to point out real quick about this process here of searching and then finding contacts and then doing the email guessing, the great thing is that you don't need a lot of sales experience to do this process. In other words, you should probably not do this process yourself if you're a salesperson or you're a business owner. This is a very easy thing for you to delegate to a lower skilled, more economical resource that you teach this process to, and you just load them up and get them working through LinkedIn, finding target prospects for you. For example, I don't do this process for myself or for our company. I have certain people that are more economical that do this for us. So the message there is, if you do this process, you can hire someone to do this for you. Pretty much it. If you want any more information, the best place to go is salesscripter.com. If you want more tips, there are plenty of videos on our website. There are also ebooks that you can download for free. If you have questions on the Sales Scripter software, there are plenty of demo videos that show you exactly how every feature works. If you want to contact us, that's the best place to go. You can get our phone number, email address, and there's a chat window as well. Thanks for being here, and we will see you on the next video. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.